The preparation involves boiling the skin and then deep frying it to produce these little air pockets that would soak up the soup. That's the essence of the pidu mian.
A day ago, we went to see fall foliage at Mingxiaoling, the mausoleum of Hongwu Emperor. Today, we're going to see more fall foliage at another Ming Dynasty edifice, the Zhonghua Gate. But this morning, we're going to skip hotel buffet and instead grab a bite on the way.
The complimentary breakfast at the West End isn't really that good. And even if it were, I was going to miss out on Nanjing's local breakfast. Based on the weather forecast, I thought it was going to be cold. So what I had planned was a steaming bowl of noodle soup. Well, it turns out that it really isn't that nippy. Like yesterday on the mountains, I was still wearing t-shirts and lots of the leaves remain green. But whatever, I still want my steaming bowl of noodle soup. Specifically, I'm talking about pidu mian, pork rind noodles. So there are tons of pidu mian noodle shops in the city. It's hard to say which one's the best. But today, we're gonna go to Zhonghuamen after the meal. So we're going from Zhonghuamen to Zhonghuamen, and along this road, I've narrowed down two shops. One of them is called Pingshijie Lao Tai Pidu Man. They've gotten a lot of media attention lately. That's why they caught my attention. But with that, they also caught a lot of flack from the public. People claim that they've sold out or whatever. I don't know, opinions. But in some of the comments, I saw foodies recommend another shop, the second candidate on my list, Yiji Pidu Man. Seems like they've been around for a long time, at least 17 years. So we're gonna pay them a visit this morning.
Maybe 17 years old doesn't seem that old for a city with quite a few century-old restaurants, as I shall present in the next video. But I've read that Pidu Man itself isn't really that old. Supposedly it was invented toward the later years of the Republican era. Back then, the economy was in shambles, commodity prices soared, and there was even rationing for foods like meat, but not pork rind because no one ate the thing, so it became a meat substitute. Eventually, the sub turned into the starter, and pidu mian pork rind noodles went mainstream. Pidu literally means skin belly, but refers to deep-fried pork rind, similar to chicharron in many Spanish-speaking countries, minus the meat.
So this is the pidu pork rind. It's skin only, no meat. The preparation involves boiling the skin and then deep frying it to produce these little air pockets that would soak up the soup. That's the essence of the pidu mian.
The soup is often bone stock. In terms of toppings, some people say that leafy vegetables, shredded pork, and tomato are standard alongside pork rind, although many shops offer a myriad of add-ons. My bowl at Yiji is a 全家福. This term means family photo, but in a restaurant context, it is understood as something like food assortment, and my massive bowl does contain quite an assortment. There are Chinese sausage, wood ear fungus, pork liver, etc. Gotta give a close up and a thumbs up for the fried egg with jammy yolk. Wasn't expecting such a cheap eatery to pay attention to this detail. Our bowls are chock full of goodies, but we have to order one more dish on the side.
This is a bonus, salted duck, 盐水鸭. We might not get another chance to try this culinary symbol of Nanjing, so we're gonna give it a try. I don't even know if the shop makes the duck themselves, but this is a landmark of the duck capital, so we have to give it a shot. Oh, and as to why Nanjing is known as the duck capital, there's a story involving the Hongwu Emperor. I'll talk about that after the meal when we visit Zhonghuamen.
Despite its name, the Nanjing salted duck requires much more sophisticated seasoning than just salt in this multi-step preparation process, such as a complex raisin sauce that imparts many subtle hints. It could be consumed as served at room temperature. Eating it cold is usually preferred by many people rather than heating up the duck. The salted duck isn't really that salty, but for some reason, we're a bit thirsty after the meal. So we walk over to the nearby Fangpo Gaotuandian, literally Grandma Fang's cake and confection store. We nibble on this rice cake Fangpo Gao. It is mildly sweet with a lasting aftertaste. But the real thirst quencher is this tang yu miao, basically taro balls in lotus root soup. The lotus root starch gives the soup a syrupy viscosity, and the taro balls are so soft your teeth could barely distinguish them from the soup. I hear that this taro ball soup is one of the original foods that Grandma Fang offered when the little shop opened some decades ago. A hearty breakfast from vendors that have endured the test of time. Now let's take the bus to Zhonghuamen and go see an extraordinary edifice that really has endured the test of time.
So I was talking about how Nanjing is known as Yadu, the duck capital, because of a story involving Hongwu Emperor of Ming Dynasty. Well, the story sort of took place here at Zhonghuamen, the Zhonghua Gate, which used to be known as Jubaopen, or the treasure gathering gate. That's because back in the days when the Hongwu Emperor first founded the Ming Dynasty, he was quite depleted, and nearby was a gazillion heir called Shen Wansan. So he was afraid that Shen Wansan would, fund an uprising against him or something. So one day he decided to ask Shen Wansan to lend him the magical jubaopen, treasure gathering basin, so he could raise some money. He promised to return the jubaopen the next morning when the roosters crow. Well, the emperor never intended to keep his promise, so he ordered all the chickens in the city killed, so no roosters would crow in the morning, so he wouldn't have to return the jubaopen. That left the Nanjing folks with no chicken to eat. That's why they turned to the duck and became masters at preparing this waterfall. So it's just a story. Oh, and the story continues. The jubaopen treasure gathering basin, it was buried here at this spot, or supposedly buried here. That is why the gate came to be known as Jubaopen treasure gathering gate, named after the jubaopen that was supposedly buried here. Like I said, it's just a story, but here's a real story. Hongwu Emperor really didn't like Shen Wansan, so he found some excuses to exile the guy down to Yunnan or Guizhou, to the borderland in the southwestern part of the country. That's the real story.
Nanjing is one of the greatest historical cities of China, as embodied in the imposing Zhonghua Gate, sometimes translated as the Gate of China. The edifice is as prominent as its name suggests. It is acclaimed as one of the world's biggest multi-barbican city gates. The fortification covers an area of 15,168 square meters and reaches a height of 20.45 meters. Its sheer size required an astronomical number of bricks, far more than Nanjing could handle. So the emperor enlisted brickmakers in other cities, even those in other provinces. This gate is the centerpiece of the City Wall of Nanjing, and to ensure the materials matched standard, details of the producers were engraved on the bricks. Talk about quality control. No wonder why the mighty gate still stands tall after centuries. In the next video, we'll see a restaurant that still stands tall after nearly 2 centuries. 再见!